Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell for all the latest videos from Talking Heads.
With your host, Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
And welcome to Bali and welcome to Thailand. And of course, here we are in the Talking Heads podcast studio. And of course, live in the studio, as per normal, at the head of the table, Mr. Bobby Pars. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
We're looking good today, yeah? It's hot in the studio, yeah?
It's hot.
We got some hot
two hot ladies.
Hot chicks in here, and it's Friday the 13th. Do you know that, Bobby? Friday the 13th today. We've got in Elvi. Welcome to the studio. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's nice to have you in here because we've got Layla at the end again, of course. She's in the screaming 666. Give us a scream. It's Friday the 13th. There we go. I love it. And we've got... Can you say in the corner? Can you say his name for us? Because he's in the corner being nice and quiet. Nitty. Welcome to the show as well. He's in the corner. He's a bystander today, so he's going to be looking at us. Elvi, welcome to the studio. It's nice to have you here. We're going to be talking a little bit about your book in a little bit, the Sober Focus. We're going to go on to that a little bit first. But first of all, I'd like to know where you're from. I mean, obviously you're not Thai, so where are you from?
I'm from Kazan, Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1983. It is the last century. It was.
Don't make yourself sound old. Don't say that.
Well, I have to emphasize on it because it was the period when Soviet Russia was kind of transitioning into democratic Russia that we see today, democratic Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like quite of chaos in economy and politics in Russia, and because a big change like that doesn't happen overnight. So and my mother was a math teacher and accountant. My father was a mechanical engineer, and when I was a child, we moved quite a lot from one town to another because that's how my dad was building his career. And
so never in one place for too long, or
until I'm 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, they got divorced because I believe my dad got quite high position at an early age, and he would bring all the pressure and stress from work into the family, and I believe that kind of emotional instability in our family led to my parents' divorce. And
it normally happens, though, doesn't it, when people can't sort of leave their work at the door and then they bring it into the home. And I mean, it does build on the pressures of inside the house itself. So I would imagine in Russia in those days, the pressure of working and earning money and all that kind of stuff was pretty high.
And I think it's also about the age because my parents were so young. When I was born, my mom was 18 years old.
Wow.
My father was born in 1962. My mom was born in 1966.
So you'd be 58 now, yeah? 58. I'm 61. I'm 59, so yeah, 58.
You're not supposed to tell a woman her age.
I don't know.
Come on, man.
That's okay. I love numbers.
She said a dad. She said her dad was born in 62, and I said he's 58.
He.
He.
I was hearing she.
No, you.
No, but I mentioned
you hear
my
she all the time.
Too.
No, your birthday's fine. I mean, that's okay. But I was trying to say that your dad, he was born in 62. I was born in 61, so that makes your dad 58.
Well, I believe that just because of the fact that they were also young is maybe a factor that led to the divorce. And since that time, since I'm 10 years old, most of the time I lived with my grandparents because when my parents went separate ways, my mom started working at a remote area, and my school was just nearby my grandma.
And where was this?
House.
Where was this at the time? Where were you living at the time with your grandma? Where was it?
In Kazan.
In Kazan still. Okay.
Yeah. I was back to Kazan and I lived with my grandma. That's where I went to school, and it.
And how was schooling?
I did very well, but as a student, but as a kid, I was different.
Why do you say different?
Well, I won't say I was like unsociable or socially awkward, but I just didn't hang out like other kids. I just didn't hang out like other kids. Yeah.
What
After
yeah,
school.
but what makes you say that? What makes you say that? What makes you say that you wasn't like the other kids and you was pretty unsociable? I mean, I know because I've interviewed a lot of people over the years what they used to do at school. Okay, so what did you do at school? What the other kids weren't doing that made you stand out from the crowd, or you thought that you wasn't the same?
Well, I would, after classes, I would just go directly home and do my homework, and that's like pretty much how I spend most of my time, with dictionaries, like fat dictionaries like this, because I was eager to learn language.
Okay.
Because I guess I was, uncomfortable in the place where I was born and living.
You didn't socially connect with your fellow siblings.
Yeah, I can say I was more socially connected with my cousins, and they would come over weekend with my mom, and it was a one studio apartment, and bedroom and living room was like one room, and there was just one bed for my grandma, and when my cousins came with mom, we would just sleep on the floor like sardines in a can, almost on top of each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So since then the weekends were associated with something hectic.
But after when you was at the school and having a lot of fun, of course you wanted to go on and further your degree by going to a university. I mean, how did that come about?
I graduated school with silver medal. Silver medal is a type of honor upon graduation.
Okay.
When you get all A's but just one B. I got one B on Russian literature because.
So hang on, you got A in everything else, and in Russian literature, you're Russian, you got a B.
One B on Russian literature because that book War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy was so long.
It is.
The kid cannot handle that.
The kid can't.
And
handle
actually,
that
the
book.
parents would complain, to the school and teacher that all those books are written by adults. How can a kid supposed to understand the experience that an adult goes through? So it was a lot of books because it was not normal school. It was called gymnasium.
Was it easy? Yeah. Was it easy to get? Sorry, Leah. Was it easy to get the books in Russia at that time? I mean, when you say like War and Peace and books like that, were they ready, available? Were the books very easy to get, or was it hard to get books?
It was hard to get books. It's like sometimes you have to stand in the queue to get books.
Well, stand in the queue where? At a library or
in a library, or sometimes you have to try hard to ask friends and relatives. So but the interesting thing is that the school always required to deliver it on time. I think.
And the most important
so maybe that's why I didn't socialize, because I was afraid that I was not able to catch up with all that program. So.
What in the socializing side of playing with friends and doing stuff and that? I mean, why didn't you do that, or did you just want to put your head into a book?
I just I was just I just went back home and dig into my textbooks and dictionaries and stuff. So, and
what about the university? I mean, going to the university.
I was happy to see the result that I graduated with honors, because that gave me the chance to enter the university with scholarship. Sure. I didn't have to pay my tuition fee. And I was very happy to choose the faculty of linguistics. I chose French and English as my major. And
as your major subjects, yeah.
And probably that was the happiest time of my life, because I could focus on the subject that I love most. I like foreign languages, foreign cultures, and I didn't have to focus on the subjects that I don't like. And I probably was the first student who got the whole computer set, including printer, scanner, and the router that connected. Do you remember the sound of that router?
So what are we talking? What year are we talking now? I mean,
it was the year 2000.
2000.
2000 was when I entered the university and got my first computer, and that's when I started making my first cash. I would help out other students with their reports, because I was probably the first student, the only student who had the computer, and the reports were assigned weekly, every week, and I had a laser printer, and I didn't go cheap with my reports, but I made sure I delivered a high quality report on time.
Sure.
On time.
So you were charging them money for their reports, yeah? So you had a little business going, yeah?
Yeah,
Good for you.
Good for her. I mean,
Good
good
for
for you.
you.
I mean, was it in 2000? I mean, I'm only asking you because I'm going to play dumb here. I mean, in 2000 in the university, wasn't there many computers then in the university?
No, not in the university where they give you a chance to study scholarship.
Yeah. No, it's
and
interesting.
and also at that time, you know, the Russian system of education did not provide the native speakers or like high technology like that. So maybe that's why I cannot speak that fluently. Even if I study scholarship and I graduated with honors, I still cannot speak fluently.
Is it? I mean, you can answer the question. You don't have to answer the question. But I just wanted to know, in like, for example, the Russian universities, is it like you can only learn like this and this and this, or is it? Can you learn everything? I mean, or are you restricted on what you can do?
Yeah, restricted is not like it's not like you make your own schedule for subjects. It's already assigned to you.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. So it's a little bit like you're pigeon-doled, aren't you? You like you've got to learn this, you've got to learn this, you've got to learn this, yeah. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. Like
And what about
not much choice there.
But somebody like you that's got a scholarship and also you've got a computer at your fingertips, and suddenly you've got the internet at your fingertips. I mean,
and that's how I met my first husband.
Yes.
Yeah, we met through international dating website, and later on my mom admitted that she bought computer for that purpose because she wanted me to get out from that country.
I'm going to say you didn't waste any time, did you? She didn't waste any time. She got the first computer in the university, then got straight dating service.
Smart mother.
Smart mother, smart. But I mean,
well, she had her reason. Like she believed she did the best thing for me because, well, she could see that I feel like deeply uncomfortable in the Russian environment, and that, and she would tell me that Russian men are not good, probably based on the experience of her first husband of my dad.
Do you? Can I ask you a question? I mean, and I've asked this question to quite a few people before. Being Russian and being in Russia, did you ever feel that wasn't your thing, that wasn't you, and you had to leave?
Oh yeah, like I felt like uncomfortable since I was born and living.
Why do you think that is?
Probably because I was born and raised in that kind of dysfunctional family, and what the sad thing is when most of the children that grow that are raised in such families, they think it's normal. I never felt it's normal.
But I mean,
this dysfunctional, emotionally unstable family that
Unsettled. Yeah.
That is quite common. And when the word abuse is common, sometimes physical abuse is common thing.
Did you feel? Can I ask you a question though? Did you feel as though you didn't belong there before you got a computer or after you got the computer?
Before.
So you did feel it before. So you had those feelings before that. Hey, this is not for me. I don't belong here, and I want to get out, and I want to be in the the world.
I was like so much interested in
the computer,
in a foreign language when
the computer kind of liberated you and made the world open and available for you.
Yeah,
yes,
totally.
Is there things like when you're in the university in Russia? I can imagine these things that you're only allowed to learn these things. You're only allowed to speak about these things. Yeah. Is there things where you get little groups of girls or guys and they all sort of get together and talk about stuff that you can't talk about? I mean, does that exist over there? I mean, I'm only guessing at schools. I would imagine it does, but was you part of that?
Cannot talk about that. Well,
yeah, like you're saying that you felt like you didn't belong there. Yeah, you felt like that wasn't for you. Was there any other children or friends that you knew who felt the same way?
In the faculty of linguistics, well, mostly we had girls and we had one boy. was kind of an outcast, and after graduation he just went to US and other girls they pretty much stayed in Russia. Because they it depends on what kind of goal you have, because they wanted to to teach the language, but I learn language because I want to live abroad.
I think it's true. I mean, I might be. Somebody will have to put me right
They
here.
have they're certified teachers, you know. They're certified English and French teachers, and most when I keep in touch with them, and they mostly now they work as teachers, and some of them are translators, interpreters.
But in Russia.
But in Russia, yeah?
In Russia. They didn't go abroad.
Some are in Russia. One of my friends is in France, Paris.
Okay.
And another one, the guy is in the US.
I think it's 3-1, Bobby, in Russia, by the way. 3 ladies to every 1 man, I think it is in Russia. Is that right?
Yeah, because, that is the...
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is it that there's 3 ladies
There's
to...
so many women.
3 ladies to
It's
1
the
man?
deficit of man, it's deficit of Russian men.
Oh.
This is
What brought you over to Thailand then? I mean, did you go from... Have you gone from Russia to Thailand? Did you just do that? Or where did you go? How did you get here?
After I met my Australian boyfriend, I lived in Sydney, Australia first for several months, and then we packed his house and moved to Thailand. It was 100% his idea, totally his idea to move to Thailand. And for the first 2 weeks, we lived in Pattaya, like temporarily, and then we moved to Bangkok. And probably one of the first things on his list was to introduce me to his friend photographer that lived in Bangkok, and that's how I.
This is how you get into the modeling, yes?
Yeah, so I could start sending my first pictures to different modeling agencies.
Yeah. And how did that go?
How?
Yeah, how did you get on? I mean, did they like you? Did they like your pictures? Did you get work from it?
Yes,
Or did they go?
Did you
No, it started
did you
like
like it?
steady. It started steady. So first, there were like low budgets. The pay was like small and okay, and then sometimes pay is great, you know. And obviously, it's not a full-time job, and
I wouldn't say that modelling or acting really for the masses is a full-time job, is it? I mean, it's a
no,
part-time
it's never
job.
full-time. It's never full-time job. And in terms of organization and punctuality, it's pretty much like Layla described. You know, it's pretty. But talking about punctuality is funny. You know, Thai people like to be flexible, but they expect you to be on time. If they tell you to be there at 8 a.m., you have to be there by 8 a.m. They tell you to be
I've never
at
known
6 p.m.
I've never known a Thai to be on time, so I'm not even saying that. I mean,
But then you get there, nothing happens.
yeah, my Thai friends always
all
say I'll
eat.
see you at 8 o'clock, and they always turn up at 8:30.
I can tell you one curious case that happened to me. I had this jewelry photo shoot for a client in Canada, and it was in the center of Bangkok in the office building, and they had a lot of jewelries there in the studio, and it took us at least 1 week to shoot everything.
Wow.
Photo shoot, and in one day, like in the middle of such week, I went to office on time. I reached the building on time, and I decided, to take like 10 minutes in the bathroom, a little bit, just the bathroom was outside of the office, just to put, some basic makeup like foundation, because I realized that some of the makeup that they provided give me like skin allergy. So, and when I checked into the office after that, they told me, okay, we see you are late. You are 10 minutes late. We have the ways to calculate it, and we're gonna cut your budget.
No
Like
way.
what?
Really?
Seriously?
10 minutes?
For 10 minutes?
Yeah, freaked out.
We're going to cut your budget.
That is crazy.
And when I told my photographer about this case, she said, okay, you can show you that you can bring your own makeup, but come to the office first, because they have this system now, check-in system.
Are you still doing that today? Are you still doing the modelling and the acting bits, or are you doing any of those things?
No, I'm more into my family commitment. So
And your book?
And the book, which we're just about
Yes.
to get onto, that.
I'm kind
you
of
brought-
basking into the joy of this one. It feels like a
Yeah.
newborn.
So successful.
I'm kind of behind the scenes now.
All right, okay. Sober Focus, the true face of alcohol is your book. I mean, is this just...
This is water, by the way.
we didn't say anything, did we? Did we say anything?
You want to show that to the camera, David?
Yeah, I will do, mate. If I was a professional, I would, wouldn't I? How's that? You got,
That's great.
You got that one?
That's great.
Good.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
I hired the graphic
So-
designer to
so-
do the cover and the typesetting and everything.
So
You did it all yourself?
No, I hired
you
I hired the
hired.
two
You hired.
graphic designers.
Okay.
Okay. Before we go into the book itself, okay, you told me before we came on air that you had a problem with drinking. Yes, that's where that's where it came from, and this is where the book comes from. Can you give me some of your background to how you were drinking, what you were drinking, and where it led you, and how you stopped? Can we do that
Yes.
first?
Yeah, during my modeling, everything was great, but what really started bothering me and became a real concern is that my drinking escalated over the years of living in Thailand. And maybe the first wake-up call was that I realized that I cannot enjoy a meal without alcohol on my table. Like having dinners, which, if you go into the literature, it's one of the warning signs that you are addicted and you're not it. And I could understand that I'm not able to enjoy meals naturally.
Yeah.
So,
But
and
you recognize that, yeah?
yeah, but that was the first wake up call.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting.
I recognize, like, because I love reading nonfiction, and when it become concerned to me, I would pick up only the books on alcohol addiction, recovery, sobriety, and everything. And
But what I'm trying to find out from you is this, because people are out there listening to this now, and we will listen after and see it on YouTube and all the different places that we put it out there. What I'm trying to find out is, which is very important, and that is, what was the key moment? What was the key moment when you realised that you had a problem? What was the key moment?
yeah, the key moment, or you mean a rock bottom?
Rock bottom, wherever you want to go, it's not a problem. I just want to know how, when you say to me, you have to go out and you eat some food, but you can't eat the food without having a drink.
That is not a real wake-up call. That is not the rock bottom, obviously. No. Well, because it happened over time, and later, it turned into the blackouts. I started having several blackouts, and finally I reached the stage, the point when I didn't care if it's morning or evening to have a drink.
Yep.
And probably the rock bottom was when I went to my cousin's wedding in Russia, her second wedding, and my aunt, my dear aunt, who I dearly love and who loves me too, she called me in the private room and she told me that I behave like an alcoholic. Because nobody told me that before, that I'm alcoholic. And actually, I hate that word. I don't want to be labeled as alcoholic.
Do you think? I mean,
So that was,
do you
that
think,
moment.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that it? That you in your head, that you're drinking too much, and you feel as though you're doing something wrong, but you don't realize it 100% until somebody says it to you and says, "Hey, do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize the way that you're acting? You're acting like a total fool. You're acting like you just got a problem with alcohol." And then suddenly it sort of hits you, and you go, "Really?" Do you think it just enlightens and tells you what you've already been thinking?
Someone tells you the truth
Yeah.
to your face, and that's when you.
Because there's many people that don't.
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to say. Many people will look at you and say to themselves, you've got a problem, and they will say it to themselves. But not many people will say it to your face.
Right.
And when they do say it to your face, that's when it hits you. And,
I think
and
the
makes you
people who
realise.
really care, they will
Absolutely,
tell you.
absolutely.
Like my mom too. My mom said,
So what?
we went, because my mom is just not a big age difference with me, so we went to a club, and we used to hang out together. We went to a club, to one of those models nights where they offer drinks for free. And on the next day, I don't remember anything. Mom said, do you remember what happened last night? And I said, no, I just remember we entered the club, and then it's just like a blank space. I don't remember anything.
Which is totally dangerous.
And she told me, we just, as long as we walked in, without saying hi or anything, you just jumped on this guy. And this guy freaked me out. And that was creepy. It was the creepiest feeling. And when someone tell you. what happened, but you don't remember a thing. It's just creepy.
To live or drink.
And then she thought, well, if you don't remember, then this is it.
Finish.
If this is it, like, just stop.
The first chapter in your book, to live or drink. Explain that one.
To live
or drink.
To live or drink. Well, from the first, from the first chapter of my book, I go straight to the point and tell my reader that all those facts, undeniable facts about alcohol, that we were not educated about, that we were not told about.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like those numbers, like the first thing that really blew my mind when I saw that number, that actually people die from alcohol. Just a lot of people die from alcohol every day, every year, 3 million people.
Mm-hmm.
And that that tells, they told me that there must be something that, like, when we are young, we are hooked. We are hooked because we are not told since we are young. When we enter this stage of adulthood and maturity, we see alcohol as a prize, as some kind of reward. Like a celebration of our maturity, and that's where we're hooked when we are young, and that's where alcohol industry target.
I think
the youth, they target our children, but because obviously if they present it to you that, okay, now here is your reward, and now you're going to drink deadly addictive poison that will destroy you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Well, obviously a young man or woman not gonna touch it.
But nobody's gonna put that on the label. I mean, if you're talking about alcohol and you're talking about cigarettes and you're talking about the same, they wrap it up in a nice box and tell you that it's the best thing ever for you, and they don't give you all the facts and the details and all the labels and all the things that go in it.
But the sad thing is that when only the person realizes the problem, they start digging into these things,
It's a good thing you did, because you wanted to know why you.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, it's there's a lot of things that are addictive. I mean, alcohol is very addictive,
and there is no guarantee. Like when you are young, there is no guarantee that you're not gonna end up that you'll be safe.
Know why you ended up like that.
But how can okay? So when it comes down to alcohol itself, isn't it down to the individual?
And there were no alcoholics in my family. Like it's kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, but
there's something happened to me like that.
Isn't that down to the individual and their willpower and how to control what they do? You say that alcohol is dangerous, which I agree with. Yeah, it is. If it's drank too much, it is. Of course it is. But if it's drank in moderation, if it's down to the person who controls that drinking, surely that's okay. But you're saying it's not. You're saying it's one or the other, yes?
Well, you know that my I know what you mean. I got your point. But my point is that once our children out there, when they leave the nest, when they start, they start to live on their own, and there are different circumstances in life. There is no guarantee that they won't get into any trouble,
sure,
and stuff. And and sometimes some people are not always there for you, and guess what? Alcohol is always there, and as long as if their belief system doesn't change, if they believe that this is, a good tool for celebration, and this is a friend or companion, there is no guarantee that, they won't get addicted.
What do you think about Bobby?
I was going to ask Elvi a question. You just said your parents weren't drinkers or alcoholics. Did you ever research and go deeper into their your grandparents, their parents, and find out what they were doing? Were they drinking, and if it was genetically connected to your grandparents or anything like that?
Yeah, after I realized that I had a problem, actually, my mom told me that my dad has had his rock bottom at the first year of university, which was before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So your dad definitely had an issue with alcohol.
When my dad,
okay,
my dad was during his first year in the university. He was a beach drink and he would bully people and he almost kicked out from the university, and that was his rock bottom. He totally stopped.
It changes people.
So they kept quiet. They keep it secret from me.
So I'm just going to ask.
So I was wondering why he never drink.
I'm just going to ask a question to the guys that are on the microphones, okay? Because this is something that's in your book, and I want to see what their answers are, okay? So I'm going to ask Bobby first, okay? Bobby, why do people drink?
I'm not sure I can answer that because I've never really, my parents drank, but I never really was a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to college, of course everyone drinks in college just because you want to fit in. But after that, I was like, this is sloppy.
Not for you.
It's too sloppy for me. I don't want to do this. This is not for me.
Lee, why do people drink?
I think they drink for several different reasons, and I think that people also react differently to alcohol. Some get aggressive, others get melancholic, others get sleepy, others, there's different ways that people actually react to alcohol. And there's also medically an enzyme I read somewhere that some people don't have and can't, therefore are more likely to become alcoholics because they are intolerable for alcohol. But why do people need alcohol? It's like what Elvi's doing is educating people. I think most people are not educated about the pros and cons as clearly as in this book. And I think people need to be educated to really realize what kind of personality they themselves are and how they react to society and where that fits in. So I'm a believer in moderate drinking if you have the personality to be able to do that, because not everybody does.
Elvi, why do people drink? You've got it in your book.
Because it's legal. Because alcohol is a legal drug.
Legal.
Yeah, therefore it's highly available and accessible in terms of location and sales hours. And, for example, if you enter the club and you say, I need a shot of vodka, it will be right in front of you. But if you say, I want a shot of cocaine, not that easy, it's not that accessible, as they describe in the mainstream. On the mainstream, they describe that, it's funny, politicians, like to talk about, saving the world, taking a hard stand against drugs, illegal drugs only, not legal drugs. If you tell them 3 million people die from alcohol only every year, not a big deal, we have more important things to discuss.
Cigarettes are a legal drug.
Huh?
Cigarettes they're a legal drug.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
7 million people die from tobacco.
It's the same. Do they? Today, Bobby. I don't know, because I don't know about the alcohol side of it. I know that the cigarettes had to put on their boxes, hey, this will kill you, and hey, this is what it's got inside. Do they do that on drinks?
No, they don't put any restriction labels on the.
So they don't say on a vodka bottle, this is going to kill you.
Once they have freedom, once alcohol mafia gets the freedom, once they know it's legal, they have freedom to do everything. They aggressively push it to the markets. And now to Asia, they identified Asian countries as emerging markets, and now how they aggressively push alcohol.
But don't you think that the dollar...
Well, that's why people drink.
But don't you think that the dollar outweighs the risk? The dollar is bigger than the risk. That's the be all and end all of it. You say that it's a legal drug, which it isn't illegal. It's a legal drug, of course it is. It's an addiction, but also it's a massive money spinner to the world.
It's the hugest economy on the planet.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest economies on the planet. So why would you put a stop to it? They won't put a stop to it, and they're not going to tell you not to drink.
Well, if you think about it, I know what you mean. If you think about it, I get comments like, when a lot of people put on jobs because it creates many jobs for people. But, if you think about it, it takes a lot of people from the work that can be more productive. They don't work for something that is productive or benefit people. They work for something that destroy people. And you know, if you look at my chapter, I think alcohol industry, where I talk about profits and losses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they claim, because it brings us income, it brings us profits, but losses are tallied up somewhere. They're hidden somewhere. Like, you know, when people drink, or when people, you know, work for, work at those kind of jobs, it's not that good for the economy.
I think that the one thing that you say in your book is really cool. I mean, and it's good that you're pointing out all these things. But you know, the one thing that I would say as an outsider is, you can get addicted to most things in life. I mean, you know, computers, laptops, smoking, whatever. It's all addictive and it's all killers, whatever way you put it. I think what you're doing is really cool, because you're emphasizing and putting out to the masses that, hey, you know, this is what can happen. This is what happened to me, and it's great, you know, because like you say, if you, my opinion is this is just my opinion, okay? That you can, in my opinion, if you drink in moderation,
Right.
if you have a drink just for social or moderation, you're the person, you can control yourself, you're fine, you know everything you're doing. I think in my eyes, and I'm a non-drinker, I think that's fine. When it becomes an addiction, when it becomes a family killer, when it becomes a family wrecker, a business wrecker, and when it wrecks your mind, your body, your soul, and everything, then that's the time to say, I have a problem, like you did. So there is a lot of addictions in this world, but I think it's down to the individual how they control that. You know, so it's down to that person saying, you know, I can control this or I can't control it. When they lose control, they need guidance.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. I mean,
Yeah,
It's
but
the
we just
person,
talk about,
individual
you know,
person.
the victims like death.
The-
It's
the-
like, how many,
And also, if you forbid something, I found that
people want it more.
it makes it more attractive. I was brought up here in Europe, where drinking was normal at lunchtime, have a glass of wine, and there was no problem at all of having a drink. And then I went to the States to go to university, to go to college, and there all of a sudden there was illegal to drink, prohibition till you were 21, I think. And I was amazed, because everybody got out and got drunk, and let's go out and get drunk. And I'm going, what for? You get sick, you feel terrible the next day. But it was because it wasn't allowed.
Yeah, it may be because of those people, you know, who work for alcohol industry. And
No, it's the politicians in America that said you weren't allowed, and the politicians in my country who didn't have those restrictions. So for us, it wasn't so tempting to go out and have alcohol, because we were allowed to have alcohol. But when you say you're not allowed to do something, you make it sometimes very attractive.
And it goes
for
underground.
people. Yes,
It goes
because
underground.
it's exciting
It's like-
as young people to go and defy.
It's the same as in America when they had prohibition, wasn't it, in America?
dry law.
Prohibition. Prohibition, they had it in
And
America.
dry law in Russia,
Yeah. So they
fertility rate increased.
Yeah.
You know, people's lives flourished.
Sure. You know, it's like, you know, once you take it from the mainstream and it goes underground, it becomes a bigger business and it becomes more profitable.
Becomes more exciting.
It becomes more exciting to the everyday person. I agree.
Opened my eyes.
Yeah, I agree with what you say, and there is lots of people in life that get addicted to things, be it drugs, be it alcohol, and if they know that they've gone too far, and if they off it and they can clean themselves up and clean their life up, I'm all for that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, the education is
But the education is good.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
And raising mass awareness.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know,
I watched this conference, press conference that was only on the subject of alcohol.
Yeah.
And because major alcohol producers, they sit in political lobbies, right, and asking them to come out and face of all our questions, ask our questions, and you will never see them at any interview, because they understand the gravity of their actions. So asking them to come out is same as asking a wolf or alligator to become vegetarian.
Sure.
So I saw this press conference about alcohol only, and Putin was sitting there alone, like asking all those questions. And he said, you know what? Yeah, raising mass awareness is the key, because just one person from the tippy top, like me, is not
enough.
not able to influence everything. Even if I give orders, he says, even if I give orders, it may stuck somewhere at the top of the pyramid or middle of the pyramid. But the real people, like the real folks, normal folks, they're at the bottom of the pyramid. So that's where you need to spread the information.
Yeah.
Couple of things.
Pros and cons, yeah.
What I want to ask you, do you think, I mean, in your situation or a friend's situation that I knew, I mean, that friend of mine drank to get away from normality. Is that what you did? Did you drink and drink and drink to get away from the everyday pressures and normality? Or did you just drink because you were addicted to drinking? Was there a reason for you drinking?
I think addicted. Because because I also tried other stuff, and they did not hook me up. But while alcohol was my true friend.
How did it make you feel? How did drinking make you feel? Can you tune into like what it did for you?
Well, what I thought is fun and relaxing, but it's because alcohol is the substance that target your nervous system, and it creates the reactions in your brain that make you feel like you're having fun and relaxed. But those feelings are not natural, and that's how I felt. I thought it's natural, but it's not. It's not. It is not the natural relaxation. It's not the real fun that you get. So that's why if I go back to where it became concern to me, I realized that I cannot enjoy meals naturally. So
yeah, that's where it's so important to.
It's important to realize,
your own
educate
personality.
And you know what? It's not. It's not just about us who realized already problem or individual. You need to look at it with the broader vision from the higher point, because the target is the next generation of people are born every day. Babies turn into toddlers, etc. The next generation.
But when you talk about alcoholism and smoking and climate change and all this,
not climate change.
But what I'm saying is, even I just want to put it in. Let me just speak in climate change just for a second. There is so much crying in the world about climate change, and there's so much about it now, and they're bringing it to the masses. They're bringing it to the masses now. Everybody knows about it. But there's very few little people doing anything about it. And that is where, when it comes to your alcoholism and drinking itself, I mean, you can bring it to the masses, but it's down to the individual to do something about it. Right. You can tell every person in the world today. You can send out 7.2 billion emails today and say, you know what? If you drink alcohol, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. It's going to wreck your life, and it's going to kill you. That's great. You've got it to the masses. Everybody knows, but it's still down to that individual person to do something about it.
Yeah, but you know how it worked for me? Actually, when I was, I came across a lot of books, and I read quite a few, and they were all about the same thing, circling around the individual. Here's your AA, here's your 12 steps program. It's all about the individual. And, for me, it was not enough. Like, something was off. I wanted to know who stands behind it, what causes it. And when I was invited to IOGT International Conference. It was in Chiam, Thailand. It's an international organization of Good Templars, and they promote the life free of alcohol and like enlighten. I like it when they say they enlighten people to enjoy life without alcohol. And there are a lot of fascinating information that I came across. And gave me all these insights and thought-provoking ideas, and it helped me. It really helped me to quit for good. It helped me to stay sober for good. But before that, when I read everything, all this stuff about individual, how to deal with it as an individual, it was not enough for me, because I felt like all these books just blame an individual, and all those major alcohol producers and industry, they just find themselves in comfortable position. They want to rest behind the scenes, collect money in our pockets, and watch us dying. So
what you've got to remember,
I didn't really like that idea.
What you have to do, Elvi, is just remember this: that you can get your voice to the masses, and that's fine. But maybe not everybody's got a grandma that's going to come up to them and say, "You've got a problem with alcohol." Maybe not everybody's got that one person that's going to look them in the eyes and say, "You have a problem."
They can come across my book.
Yeah, but of course they can. But and it's a great thing that you're doing, and I totally agree with what you're doing. It's brilliant to make people aware of it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, there's probably a lot of people out there today. I would say probably 95% of people out there today that drink and suffer from drinking bad.
Yeah, and cannot get out from the vicious circle.
They haven't got they've got nobody in front of them to tell them what they're doing, because they're that far in it themselves. Their friends, their so-called friends, are probably drinking themselves, or they haven't got the balls to turn around and say, "Hey, you know what? You're drinking too much alcohol. You're going crazy. You're going down that road. Stop." And there's probably that's what they haven't got, that person to tell them to stop and help them. Your book is a part of that. Your book is saying, "Hey, stop." I get that.
Absolutely. In order, first you need the desire.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Desire, for me, that desire, as to commit to it.
So what was your
to
support?
commit to my sobriety journey was after.
When you came to that decision that you wanted to change, did you have a support group? I mean, did you have friends and relatives that were totally there for you and supporting you?
Just close relatives and friends. I didn't go to AA or that stuff, and I was on outpatient medication that my husband bring me to. I had the medication for cravings because I guess I was entering the physical addiction stage already, and you know what my psychiatrist told me, that the treatment that you get for the alcohol addiction is same as you get for illegal drugs, because she said alcohol is not just one of the biggest drugs out there; it's the biggest drug out there.
I mean, the one thing that you've got in your book, and I mean, like I've just said, I mean, the alcohol that they're drinking is to forget their problems, to drown their sorrows. We used to say, didn't we? They drown their sorrows. They drink their drink to forget all about their problems. A lot of people.
Very misleading.
Yeah, I know it is misleading, but a lot of people find that as a way out.
Yes.
And some like I said, I mean, you can get this book, which is very good, and we're going to read it, we're going to look at it, and it's fantastic that you're bringing all these statistics to the masses. I understand that, and you can give every person in the world that drinks one of these books, and they can read it and say, "Great, fantastic, brilliant. That's really made me aware of that." But then it's up to them to stop. It's up to them to do something about it.
Exactly.
Yes. You know what? I don't consider my book as the only solution.
No.
When I'm in these various Facebook groups, private groups, support groups like addiction, recovery groups, sobriety groups, like the different names, and there are so many on Facebook. And like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in each group.
Yes.
Can you imagine how many people are suffering and cannot get out from this? And that's where I got this term quit literature. And I realized that people who are in recovery, or who in their sobriety journey, or who realize the problem, and they want to you find the ways to heal themselves. They look for more information. They collect these books. They collect recovery books for their quit lit shelf. So I don't consider my book as the only one. The only solution. It's it can be.
It's a part.
It's a
part of the solution.
It's a good addition for their quit lit library.
It is, and it's available on Amazon. Yes.
Yes, worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay, so we'll get the links on, Bobby, as well. Yeah.
We will.
We'll get get the links on as well.
And for people who need help here in Pattaya, there's Paul Loftus.
Okay.
Who maybe would also be interesting.
Good.
To have him on the show.
We will have any.
He has a rehab here in Bangsaray. I think it's called Hope.
And let me tell you, Eva, I've met a few people over my career, and I can tell you, when somebody comes out like the people in front of me, and they go to other people and say, "You know what, I have a problem," that's one of the biggest steps in life they can ever take, because then they start to get help.
Absolutely.
It's the people that can't say that the people who don't get help, and they go slide down even more.
Like what you
Yeah,
said,
I don't
David, you
deny
need
it.
someone to
You need somebody to help you. You know,
You need someone
it's
to
like
help.
what they used to say: you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
Facebook
Reach,
groups
reach out for help and
are
don't
not
deal it with yourself.
solution.
At least still tell your close family, your relatives. Don't
Is
keep it
that-
to yourself. Don't just go to those Facebook groups and
No.
you're running in the circles.
Is there one thing? Is there? You know, we're going to put the book. We're going to put the book away. You can get it from Amazon and that when we post the YouTube today. Yeah, Bobby. Yeah. Is there a link you would like for us to put on for where people go to where they could get some help?
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you have a link for us there? You can give us one. Yes.
She has a Facebook page called.
Good. Oh, we can do that after. You can
Focus.
give that to Bobby. Yes.
No.
All right. Anything
By
else?
the way, my website is still in works. I'm about to discuss it with my web developer to upload the content.
Good.
But I took the domain already, soberfocus.com, but I need to upload the content.
Good. Good for you. You're doing a great job. I think what you've done is very, very.
I'm a slow turtle, but a steady one. Actually, my website's supposed to come out before this book, before I launch it.
It's okay. It's all right. There's no particular order. Listen,
My mom said I'm perfectionist. She said just
I think
Let it
I think
go.
what you're doing with the book. I think what you're doing with the book is good. You're bringing it. You're bringing awareness out there, and anybody that brings awareness out there is good.
Yeah, and it
You're-
took me like 5 years to put this book together, including my original Russian one. My first book is in Russian. It's traditionally published in Russia, and I pushed it to the libraries there.
Did you put that out in Russia?
Not on Amazon.
No, bro. I mean,
my-
the Russian one is available in Russia, though. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you
Two
can-
languages? Two languages, English and Russian?
Yes, but this is not the direct translation. This one is adapted to international audience.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
the Russian book just deals with the Russian case only case in Russia, and altogether, it took me 5 years, and I made sure it's a carefully crafted and professionally edited book.
Good. All right. We like it.
This is your
You
new.
won't be disappointed.
Elvi.
We're going to read it. We're going to read this one. Layla, it's nice to have you in the studio today.
Yes,
It's been really
it was
cool.
Very nice.
Thank
and
you for your support.
No,
So
my pleasure.
You see, it
I'm
wasn't
very
that bad.
proud of you.
See, you were scared about coming on here. You said
Yes.
you're a podcast virgin. Now you're not a podcast virgin. You can come on the show anytime. You see, so now we've brought you into the family. Yeah? Have you enjoyed it?
Absolutely.
It's been great. I mean, we like it, don't we, Bobby? We like people on the
Yeah.
show. We love all walks of life on the show. We like listening to all the things that you bring onto the show. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show today. Great book. Okay,
Congratulations.
we'll stick it on. We'll stick it on all the websites. We'll put it out there, and if it helps somebody, great. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, girls.
Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you.
me.
Thank you.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.